And now, Society Network presents Homegrown After Dark, featuring Matthew A. Butter.
Mississippi mud pie, Dixie Lime Cafe, Memphis Belle Sunrise, Nashville, Tennessee. King Elvis swinging, church bells ringing, Johnny Cash humming, the circle being...
Welcome back, episode 6 of Society Network's Homegrown After Dark. And today we're featuring one of my good friends, Matthew Butter. Matthew Butter, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Mel. It's good to be here. Finally, we've been talking about it for a long time.
We have. So I guess none to ado, I got to ask you this. Where did your journey into music begin?
That's a great question. My journey began with my mom. My mom taught me how to play the guitar when I was 14. And before that, I had been in band. I played saxophone in junior high band. I'd written some lyrics down, probably considered poetry at that time. And my mom taught me how to play the guitar. She was leading worship for our church, for the youth group. And so she taught me how to play, and I started leading worship. I started writing songs. Now that I had an instrument that I could write the songs that I was penning, it was perfect. Melody and the lyrics coming together. I couldn't do that with saxophone. You can't really sing and play saxophone at the same time. So It worked out. But my mom comes from a musical family, from growing up and playing and clubs and restaurants.
What's your mother's name, if you don't mind?
Her name is Susie Butter.
Susie Butter.
That's right. She's a redhead, and she's actually going to be on my new EP coming out. She sang harmony on it, so I'm pretty excited. I'll tell you about that later. But yeah, that's where my journey began. Then I started leading worship. I used to do camps, retreats. Then I just started writing a whole lot. In college, I went to Baylor University. I managed a band. They were my next door neighbors. They were called Riverside, and they were a country southern rock band. And so I'd book them gigs. I'd send promo packs out back in the old school days, like, half-inch binder with polyview pages, with all the printouts of the cover songs and artwork and everything before social media. And so then I would follow up. And so I kind of got my taste of that and promoting other people. And then I started doing my own thing. And so here we are. And it actually came out my first album when I was 30, so about 11 years ago.
So 11 years ago. So it took you up to 30 years old to want to cut an album, or it's just...
I always wanted to cut one.
Circumstances.
Just never, couldn't, just never did. And then I found a guy, David Beck, who is an amazing artist. He's with David Beck Tejano Weekend. He did a great job producing my first EP. It's out on all the streaming platforms. Still even have a few physical copies left of that album. So it was called Life is Grand.
Life is Grand. Okay. That's actually, by the way, we have that CD sitting right here. So make sure you snapshot it, zoom in on it.
This is the latest one called Trust Me.
Trust Me.
Life is Grand was my first ever one that I got to do.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. But yeah, that was fun, and I played a few gigs, booking myself, trying to get, anywhere I could find when that one came out. And then I took a hiatus for a little while, and then about 2016, I picked it up again, started playing around here in the Highland Lakes area, festivals, Bluebonnet Festival, Burnett Music Festival, got to open for Pat Green. Shout out to Damon Byerly and Double Eagle Entertainment. Appreciate them.
Absolutely.
And so they're a big part of the Highland Lakes community here in music. But yeah, Trust Me came out last year. I actually met a guy named Andy who was interested in being a private investor, what we call executive producer. So he told me to write a business plan.
Okay.
And so I wrote him a business plan. And originally when we had lunch, he said, "What else do you do?" And I said, "I'm trying to do this album. I only got $2,000 raised for this, but it's going to cost more than that." And he said, "Well, how much will it cost?" And I told him. He said, "I don't know if I can do that, but write me a business plan, and we'll see what we can do." So I did like an 8-page business plan, sourced it all, and he said, "Well, I'm in to do this amount." And so we
and that was just a 8-page business plan. A business plan, right? Cool.
Yeah.
An 8-page business plan. Was that set up that this is the business plan I'm going to do the CD, or this is a business plan after I've done what I'm planning to market it and stuff like that?
It was about marketing, where I was going to, get things recorded, how much things were going to cost, what his cut was. He gets 50% of publishing, master rights. He gets a percentage of touring, percentage of merchandise.
Oh, so he's got a 360 deal on you.
Yeah, he's got 360 on this one album.
Yeah,
To pay it back and with some interest and actually it was going to be one album. Ended up being two, and this was the first one, and the second one's coming out in March, so it's coming out in about a month and a half.
Okay.
But the first one, we went up to New Jersey of all places. I thought he has his brother-in-law who's a rock pop musician, but he also is a producer, and he has a studio in South Jersey. And he said, "Hey, what about recording there?" And I said, "I don't know. This is a country album.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm." I said, "I would either want to record in Nashville or outside Austin somewhere." He said, "Well, just listen to his stuff." So I did. His name's Stephen Mcknight at Thermal Studios, and he was amazing. He did a great job with. I think the song that really struck me was he did a remake of "With a Little Help from My Friends," kind of like the Joe Cocker version of it.
Okay.
And I was like, "This guy's awesome." So I said, "Yeah, Andy, if you're paying for this, I'd love to fly up there." He flew me out there 3 times. We did all the vocals, all the pre-production, and it took a little while. We ended up settling on about 6 songs. There were some circumstances that came up that he couldn't finish the whole thing in the time span that we were looking to do. So he ended up doing 6 songs.
Okay.
And those are all on streaming platforms, YouTube. You can find those.
So, I mean, there's not a lot of people out there, Matt. You like Matthew or Matt?
Either way, The Butter Life.
Okay.
You can follow me at The Butter Life.
The Butter Life, okay. And you went out. Did you find this guy, or did he found you? I mean, how did that relationship work?
This is a really interesting story. Kind of what brought me to the Marble Falls, Burnett County area was that I was actually working at a church part-time.
Okay.
In Hoover Valley, and we had these associational meetings. That's what good Baptists do. They have this fried chicken, and they have a meeting, and then bring in a speaker. And usually, it's not very fun. I'm not going to lie. It's pretty boring. People are falling asleep.
Except for the fried chicken.
Yeah, fried chicken that gives you heartburn. But
okay.
I'm thankful either way. But this Andy was the guest speaker at this associational meeting.
Okay.
And I went. And I didn't really want to go to the meeting. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't want to go. But I went and I heard him. He was a Baylor grad. I was a Baylor grad. I got his jokes. He was from Austin. Some people in the Hill Country, when you say you're from Austin, they check out. And I was like, I like this guy. So I went up to him afterwards and said, "Hey, I'm a Baylor grad. Let's get together and have lunch." So we had lunch, and that's when he asked me, "What else do you do?" And so
you're like, "Well, I just happen to play music." And
he was interested. He likes Southern rock and country and stuff that I like. And so we talked about it and wrote a business plan, and he has a ministry that helps out people in churches. He has a ranch and a lake house that he does retreats for pastors, and so this was his way of kind of helping me and getting this thing going. And it ended up that his brother-in-law produced 6 of the songs, so it's pretty awesome. And like I said, his name's Stephen Mcknight, and so we went up there and recorded. And the first 4 songs were released last February 20th, 2020, and then we released 2 more singles. And on the song you have, on the EP, you have a real rockin' kind of Southern rock song called "Make Me Again." You have a real couple country songs that are more rockin', and then you have kind of a modern country pop song. The one "Trust Me" that's on your shirt, he's repping for me today.
By the way, I'm repping for Matthew Butter. Check out his shirt.
Trust Me. That's the name of the album and the EP.
Well, let me turn around. You can see the back of it.
Oh, yeah, there it is right there. Sweet.
There you go, man. So.
Y'all can get that on my website, too, thebutterlife.com. It's got a merch site. So
yep, we're repping the Society Network here today.
So Trust Me was kind of a modern song, almost like I don't know. It's not as traditional country. That's actually out to radio right now. There's 2,500 radio stations across the country that I sent that out to. And if anyone wants information on how do you do this, because there's a lot of artists that I run into.
That's a question I'll be asking you, man. I'll ask you now, Matt. I'm listening to you here, and I'm like, man, this guy's like. I'm the same way. You know what I mean? I believe if you don't focus and be consistent with what you're doing, you're going to fail. I believe it totally. So I got to ask you, what's the juju, man?
Well, it's just hustling, man. It's hustling.
You gotta hustle,
and you have to network. And when you see opportunity, you seize it. When the door cracks open, you don't walk through it; you run through it. And that's my strategy and my philosophy. And it's also about being mutually beneficial to someone else. Like, I'm helping him. He's obviously has a percentage of royalties and publishing and stuff, and that's fair. It's equitable. And so I also believe in what Zig Ziglar always used to say. He said, you can have everything in life you ever wanted as long as you help enough other people get what they want. And so one of the things that I like to do is help young artists and see talent and try to get them to the next level, whatever that next level is for them. I'm not promising to make people famous or rich, but what I am doing is say, let's go to the next level. Like I have this college student. His name is Judson Roy. He is amazing talent. He's more on the hip-hop side of things, more like clean hip-hop. He's got a lot of streams on Spotify. But I'm helping him along and encouraging him, giving him some pointers here and there, putting his song out to radio. There's some other young artists that I'm doing the same thing. So try to give back, too, I think is real key.
Straight up, the owner of Lakeside Pawn and Jewelry, Troy Fox, he helped me understand a lot of things in life. And one of the things is success. Can you handle success, right, in any form? And a lot of artists cannot, right? So you don't have to you're helping that kid out, but what you're doing, you're actually giving him the steps to success. It may not be monetary success, but success comes in many, many different forms. And I really do believe it. You know what I mean? I don't know if you agree with me or not.
Right, no, absolutely. I think success for me is finding someone that's willing to invest in my project. That was a huge success because not everyone gets that opportunity. And so I'm very fortunate and thankful and grateful to Andy for doing that. And I'm thankful for the producers that have worked with me. And so it's how you measure success, right? So there's a quote that actually my wife said was, don't ever lose the ability to realize when you have it all. Don't ever lose the ability to realize when you have it all. And so for you, that may be different.
There you go. Great advice. Great advice right
because, I'm very, very thankful and blessed. Would I love to have a number one hit song on country radio? Yes.
Well, of course.
Would you love to be signed and have this amazing publishing deal? Yeah, those are goals that I have. But if I don't ever get there, it doesn't mean that I'm not going to keep trying. But also I have to be grateful for the things I have. And I think gratitude is a big part of that. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Gratitude is a big thing. If you're not grateful for the things that you do have, right? Instead of, so many people drop by the wayside because they're always in hindsight or they're worrying about something that it's in the future. I'm just saying, you're 100% right. But anyways, so I got a question for you.
Shoot.
What's the first tune that you're going to play today for Homegrown
The first tune is the new song that's coming out on the new EP in March. It's called Every Win is a Loss.
Every Win is a Loss. Okay. Well, here we go. We got Matthew Butter playing his original tune. Every Win is a Loss.
Pushing me to the limit, hanging me out dry, scratching at the surface of my ego and pride. This can't be happening again on the same battlefield where every line is drawn and every win is a loss. We're fighting just to fight well, yelling just to yell. Slowly our souls camping in a living hell. Where is the way out? Whose wall comes down first? How much will this war cost? For every win is a loss. Well, you might think I'm selfish, the truth I won't deny, but as selfish is fighting for my soul and charge me guilty on sight. I can't go on spinning wheels or moving on staying still We need to hit the gas, get there fast, put the past in the damn past. We're fighting just to fight, well, yelling just to yell. Slowly our souls dancing and living hell. Where is the way out? Whose wall comes down first? How much will this war cost? For every win is a loss. How much will this war cost? For every win is a loss.
All right, we're back. That's Matthew Butter singing his original song, Every Win Has a Loss. Matt, that song has some depth there. Can you explain a little bit to everybody out there in society land to let them understand what they just heard?
Sure. Thank you for that. Yeah, it's funny. We were just kind of talking about positivity and motivation, and you have a song like that kind of sounds like a breakup song or sad country song. But, what I like to tell people is that I write songs about life. So sometimes life is happy and fun and inspirational, and sometimes it's heartbreaking and it's sad. And I try to write stories that encapsulate all of those elements of life. Okay. And so Every Win Is a Loss is basically about a couple who, are going through a tough time. And even though maybe one thinks that they win the argument, it's really a loss. If you've ever had a fight with your spouse and you think you won, it's still not a win because you're losing in the end, right?
Correct.
Because
yes, sir.
That's exactly what that song is about, and just kind of asking the question, where is the way out? Whose wall comes down first? Where every win is a loss. So it's one of those things where it's kind of like you're stuck in the middle, you're kind of in between, you're spinning your wheels, and so you're trying to figure out the way out. So that's what that song's about, and that's kind of the inspiration behind that. But it's going to be on the new EP coming out in March. And let me tell you about this. I'm really excited about this new EP, where the other one we did was very electric guitar centric, because that's what my producer does so very well. This one is going to be more rootsy. No electric guitar. It's going to have a grand piano. It's going to have acoustic guitar, mandolin, steel, and fiddle. And it obviously is going to have drums and bass. But it's going to be real rootsy. A lot of steel, a lot of fiddle. And I'm excited. I'm working with Grammy-nominated engineer Chris Bell. This guy has been nominated 7 times. He worked with the Eagles on the Long Road to Eden album. He worked with Destiny's Child, Erykah Badu, Kenny Wayne Shepherd, who's a blues guy. He worked with Don Henley on the Cass County album. You think, well, how did you meet that guy? Well, my friends, the Wimberley Cafe. I play music there a lot in Wimberley, Texas. And he actually lives right over there off the square, has a studio. And a friend of mine said, you need to meet this guy named Chris Bell. And so I said, okay, tell me about him. So he told me about him. And so I got his contact information, and we started talking. I guess it was probably about April or May.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Where did you meet Chris Bell at?
Yeah, so we had an initial meeting at Wimberley Cafe there on the square, and great food, by the way. Go visit my friends Jay and Jen Bachman, who run it. But we met. We talked about kind of the vision for the album and wanting it to be more rootsy Americana. I call it a Texas Americana because it has some Texas flair. It has some neo-traditional country, more like 90s country flair. And then so Chris knew all these musicians because a lot of them had been furloughed because of COVID. They weren't on tour. Like, for example, the drummer, his name is J.J. Johnson. J.J. Johnson was in the band Tedeschi Trucks Band with Derek Trucks, Susan Tedeschi. Amazing bluesy rock band. Then you have Glenn Fukunaga, who was on tour with the Chicks now, I guess what they're called, the Chicks. But he had played with Robert Plant and other people. Then you have Michael Ramos, who had been on tour with Paul Simon, John Mellencamp.
How did you find all those guys?
I didn't find them. So Chris had the contacts.
Oh, he had all the contacts.
And he knew that they all lived around the Austin area, and they were on tour. So they were willing to take on studio projects. And so... and then Brett Danaher, the acoustic guitar player, had been on tour with Pat Green for 20 years. He's not touring any longer. And so we went down to Fire Station Studios in San Marcos, which is a part of the Texas State University system. And Chris is a professor there with their recording department. So we went in there, and just this historic 100-year-old firehouse, old firehouse, that's what we call it, Fire Station Studios. And we recorded the rhythm section. So we did the grand piano, the bass guitar, acoustic guitar, and the drums. And then I sang like a scratch vocal.
Okay.
We did that one day. We did 6 songs in one day. I think in 4 hours, actually, 4.5 hours. Did that, and then I came back to Chris's studio and laid down my vocals on that. And then he sent off the file to a guy named Milo Deering. And Milo Deering was on tour with the Eagles recently, playing steel fiddle, mandolin, and any other stringed instruments they needed. And Chris actually got him that job. It was a really cool story. And so I guess when COVID happened, the Eagles stopped touring, so Milo was doing projects, and he is an amazing steel fiddle player. It's all over the album. Super excited. But one of the most important things I'm excited about is that my mom, the one that kind of started it all, she is singing harmony on 4 of the songs.
Well, there you go.
So pretty excited about that. And
I don't, a lot of people don't get to do music with their mother.
No. I mean, we sang together in church and those times when we were first starting out. But she was super excited about it. She sounds great on it. And so Chris just finished up mixing it, mastering it. We're finishing up the liner notes and artwork for the CD, and then we're probably going to have that out first part of March. I'm thinking Texas Independence Day, March 2nd.
The great day to do it on. So, I mean, I guess I got to ask you, this year, going to be releasing it, during a time where music is just taking a pounding. Right. It's like the powers of the world hate music or something right now. You know what I mean?
Well, I think what we're seeing is a lot of people are releasing new content, but they're not touring, especially the larger artists who are tied to a label.
Right.
Now, in Texas, we're seeing a lot of regional artists start performing more. Like a lot of my singer-songwriter friends are starting to do these socially distanced concerts and such. And in Texas, we have that freedom to be able to do those type of concerts. Now, the larger venues, they're not so much. The artists that are signed by labels, I guess the liability is too much for them to handle. But it's great for us. It's kind of evening the playing field
a little bit. Well,
a little bit in some ways, and being able during this time. I mean, I did like 3 or 4 live streams last year, and I did probably 20 to 25 live performances.
Did you make any money off the live streams? Did anybody pay to those Venmo accounts, PayPals, or whatever?
A little bit.
I
got a friend. I mean, it was. It just depends on when you hit. There's so much content out there.
Yep.
You're competing with TV shows, Netflix, Hulu. But you're also competing with other artists out there. And so trying to pick a time spot that no one else had,
it's impossible.
It's even though they can go watch it later on. No, but I did have some people contribute, and I'm very thankful for that. But, it was great. I think that first weekend, Mel, when I went and did live shows, I think it was Memorial Day weekend, I did a show at Bill's Burgers and Burn It. Say that 5 times fast. And then I did Boat Town in Kingsland, and man, those were the best shows that I've had in a long time. People were just hungry for it. They were hungry for live music. They tipped well.
Even right now, today, as we're speaking right now, people are hungering for the music, and I think just in my opinion, you know what I mean, my humble opinion, COVID, what you just said, even the playing field, in the aspect, if there's any light you can take out of the darkness of COVID, right? That would be it. Even the playing field for a lot of people, because our content matters. Because people ask me, they're like, "Okay, so Mel, why are you putting out so many videos all the time?" I'm in an ocean of people, so I have no choice. I've got to put content out to where the only thing that anybody's ever going to see is my stuff. That's just me.
Well, we did something with Damon Byerly. I mentioned him earlier. We went out to Haley Nelson Park, and we had several artists out there. The Steel Drivers. We did a songwriter round out there, and that was just a Facebook live stream. But it was good to be out and about, and thinking about continuing that in some form or fashion. But I know, like, my buddies in Nashville, it's pretty locked down up there. But what's really popular is the songwriter rounds, which I love those. And
Absolutely.
Where you get to hear these guys that wrote these hit songs and the story behind it. And, like, I just talked to my buddy this morning, Aaron, and he played some rounds. And people are still going out. Yeah, Mel's pointing to this album right here, Trust Me EP. Yeah, you can find that on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, wherever you want. There's merch. Yeah, we got merch available. And you can follow me also at The Butter Life all together, no spaces. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, my website. I'm not quite on TikTok yet. I hear that there were 80 artists signed to labels that were discovered on TikTok. Can you believe that?
Yeah, but
I'm not there yet. But hopefully soon. Hopefully nobody gets my handle.
Before I started all this stuff, from the radio now to the podcast, when I started on the radio, I knew musicians. I did, but I didn't realize how many were literally around me up here. It was absolutely mind blowing.
Oh yeah, there's so much talent here in the Highland Lakes.
Lord,
there's so many people that play. There's a guy, Brandon Allen. He plays at Lake Shores Church. He's got a single out on Texas radio. He was a studio musician in Nashville. Very good guitar player. Amazing.
Let me get this for you. I'm gonna move
Good,
it out.
yeah, very good guitar player.
So everybody can see the Matthew Butter mug.
Yeah, that's right. There we go, and we got the hat too. But then you have folks like the Cadillac Gypsies, the Steel Drivers, John Arthur Martinez, Pauline Reese. I mean, the list goes on and on. You can just name so many here, and I'm proud to be from Texas. I'm fifth generation Texan. So I love going to Nashville and visiting, but it's always good to come back here, and you've got this.
Yes, sir. It is. And all those names you named, I got you and John, right? You're on the show, and I just had John. The show airs 27th at 9 p.m.
Awesome.
The past.
All right.
Anyways, but the rest of those names, I'm going to have them.
So that's tonight, right? So John Arthur.
It's actually going tonight. Yes,
he's broadcasting, but you interviewed him last week.
I interviewed him last week.
Okay, awesome.
But it actually airs tonight. All the shows that air out there on all of our platforms, when we're taping it, there's a show from last week's going to air tonight.
Awesome.
So I want people to know that because we just told them.
Right. Well, and you mentioned this a little bit earlier, but I wanted to just reiterate it. I met Mel. How we met is I'm close to where my office studio is, close to Lakeside Pond, where we do the recording out of for the Marble Falls Live Music Society. But I love coming here and finding instruments. They got a great selection of guns and tools and anything that you need. They've got it. If they don't have it, they'll find it for you. And so I love coming here and supporting local businesses. And I know Mr. Fox has a lot of trust in you and what you're doing, and been with him for a long time.
Mr. Fox, yeah. So
I can't remember his first name. So
it's Troy. But anyways, I'll say one thing about him. Troy Fox has been a pillar of the music community in a silent aspect. He doesn't want to be recognized anything for it, but he's done more by helping me accomplish the things that I'm doing. And so I always want to shine light. So a huge shout out to Troy Fox, owner of Lakeside Pond and Jewelry, which that is my newspaper job by day.
Right. All right. Yeah, that's good, and it's good to support local businesses, obviously. And I love how you're giving back and supporting the musicians. And
you have to. You have to. If success for me is to see somebody with a smile on their face or happiness because I was able to do something. You know what I mean? It may not be. I've had a lot of people come to me, Mel, can you help me? Right? Yeah. And it may not be. Sometimes it might not be something big, but. I love to see a smile on the face when I accomplish that.
Right.
So, okay, let's talk about, real quick, your second song you're going to be doing for us on today's show.
The second song is called Spring Fever Romance.
Spring Fever Romance. Oh, tongue twister. Spring Fever Romance. Here you go. It's Matthew Butter, Society Network, Home of Grown After Dark. Spring Fever Romance.
Mercury rising on the temperature gauge. Ice it melts all over the place, making it hard for her to wait as another springtime opens up today. Fever has got her antsy to ride, top down looking at the upside. Got shades on like Top Gun guys and road head ready to surprise. She doesn't quite mind cold and cloudy here some of the time, but when the sun comes out, her skin laid bare, kissed by that light. The body starts when she arrives, her heart shed, flooding with stares. Hoping it's gonna offer her a chance for a new spring fever romance. Dawn is breaking another day. Chanel 5 perfume fills the place, making it hard for him to wait as another rambling rose blooms his way, flipping her hair just to make a scene. Highlights glistening in the breeze, forever young she will be, this lady in love who's fancy free. She doesn't quite mind cold and cloudy here some of the time, when the sun comes out, her skin laid bare, kissed by that light. The body starts when she arrives, her heart shed, flooding with stares. Hoping it's gonna offer her a chance for a new spring fever romance. She doesn't quite mind cold and cloudy here some of the time, when the sun comes out, her skin laid bare, kissed by that light. The body starts when she arrives, her heart shed, flooding with stares. Hoping it's gonna offer her a chance for a new spring fever romance. Hoping it's gonna offer her a chance for a new spring fever romance.
All right, we're back. That's Matthew Butter singing his song, Spring Fever Romance. So Matt, tell us a little bit about that tune and how'd you come up with it?
Well, you know, it's funny. It's the oldest song on the new EP. I wrote that in 2010. Actually, I was finishing up my graduate degree, and I had this idea. I saw this picture of this lady who was, you know, she was probably late 40s, mid-50s to mid-50s, and she was just living her best life, and she was just like forever young type of person. You know, you've met those people, like no matter what their age is, they're forever young. So I had this idea for, you know, this lady who was looking for love. Maybe it was her second time around, and so it's just spring fever. It was like, you know, people are antsy and itching to get out there and see the wildflowers and be in the sun because the winter's been cold, and so that's kind of where I got the idea for Spring Fever Romance.
Well, you know, that's a good thing. You know, on John's episode, Jonathan Martinez, you know, we talked about that. He had a song called Pawn Shop, Once Upon a Pawn Shop Ring is what it was. But, you know, I just don't, and I'll tell you this, you know, everybody loves music about love. It's the truth, man.
Yeah, it is.
It is, you know, it's the truth. So anyways, okay. So I got to ask you, if there's anything that you would want to give somebody on advice on, what would it be in their music life?
In their musical career?
Yeah.
You know, I just like to reiterate what I said earlier, is just hustling, getting out there and knocking on doors, reaching out to folks. You know, I have to be honest, this comes a little bit natural to me because I was in sales for 20 years, IT sales, dental sales. When I was selling satellite dishes door to door when I was 16. And I know not everybody has that personality. Like, not everybody's a hustler like that or feels
Right.
confident to do that. And I understand that. But work, you know, don't try to be like me, right? Try to be like you, the best version of yourself. And whatever that is, if you're a great writer, if you are a great instrumentalist or a promoter or whatever it is that you do well, just focus on that. I think too many times we focus on our weaknesses to try to make ourselves better and not
Instead of using our strong points and capitalize on
right
them.
and capitalize on our strengths. Now, I'm not saying you can't. You got to hustle either way. You got to be available for opportunity and just think positively. It's not just about positive thinking. You got to put some effort into it. Like I heard somebody say one time, I kind of like this, Mel.
Okay.
They said, work like it depends on you and pray like it depends on God. I kind of like that. So work hard, but trust, have faith.
There you go. Yeah, that's and it's true. God is good, is it not?
All the time.
All the time, man. Praise the dear Lord. So, okay, John, we have time constraints on the show. What's the third song that you want to play for everybody?
The third song is Start With Hello, and this is kind of a motivational song that I wrote, and it has to do with the Sandy Hook Promise from the shooting that happened in 2013, actually on my birthday.
Okay. Lord.
And so Burn It had this slogan said, "Burn It starts with hello" for the school district. And so I wrote the song one Saturday just to encourage people. And so I hope you find it encouraging when I play it for you.
All right, here you go. Matthew Butter, Society Network. They start with hello.
In the morning before I get out of bed, I tell myself you will be a light, shining like a bright star on a moonless midnight. And how can I make a better way? Then I remember what my teachers used to say. We start with hello, and we look people in the eye, and we shake each other's hands. We don't let loneliness walk on by. It's a smile, it's a wave, it's a listening ear. We let our kindness show. We start with hello. Oh, we start with hello. And as my weekdays drag on, sometimes I feel lonely too. Sadness and fear overcome my joy. And tell me, will I ever make it through? Then I remember what my mama used to say. If you want to have a friend, you need to be a friend to someone today. We start with hello, and we look people in the eye, and we shake each other's hands, and we don't let loneliness walk on by. It's a smile, it's a wave, it's a listening ear. We let our kindness show. We start with hello. Oh, we start with hello. smile, it's a wave, it's a listening ear. We let our kindness show. We start with hello. Oh, we start with hello.
All right, we're back, man, with the original tune, Start with Hello, Matthew
Yeah.
Butter, man.
Thank you for listening. Yeah, that's a special song to me. And
Yeah, tell us about it.
Yeah, so I mentioned a little bit before the song, but like I said, it's just an inspirational song. Got a lot of sad country songs, got a lot of breakup songs, but that was one just to encourage people to, hey, look at somebody in the eye, shake their hand, give them a smile, give them a wave. Don't let the loneliness walk on by. That's really the heart of that song, because
Inspirations.
yes, because if a kid's feeling down and they're depressed, they may do something stupid like that kid did, Sandy Hook, and so that's why they started that Sandy Hook Promise Foundation, and Start with Hello was one of the themes out of that.
Okay, well, beautiful tune right there, man.
Thank
Start
you.
with Hello. So I got to ask you, it's the thing I've been looking at your hat the whole time. What does the A mean in between the
Yeah.
Matthew and Butter?
A lot of
your
people
name?
ask that. Matthew A. Butter. It really stands for awesome. No,
Awesome?
I'm just joking.
Okay.
It stands for Allen. Allen with two L's. So A-L-L-A-N. Matthew Allen Butter. But what's funny? My parents, this is what I heard. They told me that when they were considering names for me, they almost named me Jeremiah Blue. Can you imagine that? Jeremiah Blue Butter?
Jeremiah Blue Butter.
I don't think so.
No, are you
I don't think so,
messing
Tim.
around? Is that's
That's
the
what
truth?
they were going to name me, and then they thankfully came to their senses. I was like, "What were y'all smoking? I don't know what's going on." But no, actually,
Okay. Well,
but it's funny. We were talking about this earlier about butter,
Yeah.
last name Butter, and I do like to eat real butter, not margarine, not the fake stuff. But so when people ask me about that, when I was younger, I got made fun of a lot. They would just call me all kinds of names. But I turned it around to make my brand. That's why we have the Butter Life, and my hashtag is Churn It Up.
churn it up.
Churn it up.
Hey, it's all good, dude. You know what I mean?
You better believe it.
Yeah, I'm with you with one of those names. So that's cool. That's cool.
So it's been real nice to be here with you today. Thank you.
It has, and I want to thank you for coming on the show real quick. I got to just go out there. Hashtag save our children. Our children are our future. Starts with us. Matt.
Amen.
Amen to that. So yeah, I want to thank you for coming on the show, man. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Look for that album, pre-save, coming out probably in a month, and it's going to be good. It's going to be called Spring Fever Romance, and we'll see it out real soon. And then keep following this guy. He's doing some great things here. And any musicians in the area, if you ever want to have any advice about how to get your album off the ground, I'm open to help out any way I can. Happy to help.
Okay, man. There we go. Hey, we'll see you next time. Society Networks, Homegrown After Dark.